My darlings, hello, how are you? We're in a bit of a weird in-between time where lighting is a bit difficult because it's about to start getting dark, but it's not quite there yet, so everything is just a little bit dim and ineffectual. But hello nonetheless, pleasure to have you back. It's time for my check-in. Money has been a bit weird this month because of all the stuff I described going on with my bank in my last video. So it's left me quite uncertain about exactly what and how to do things with my money because I'm not entirely sure how much I'm going to need and how much is going to be coming in. So let's just discuss that a little bit before we get into the actual numbers. I did put the changes I've had in red in my spreadsheet, which you'll see in a minute, just to make it a little bit easier to track. You can tell I'm coming from my first week of teaching because I'm already losing my voice. Banking update from my last video. Thank you to the person who asked me, can't you lower your credit limit? Because I initially answered you and said no, and I called them again and it turned out actually I could, I just couldn't do it on the phone because you can never do anything on the phone. So on Thursday, even though I was knackered from work, I got in a taxi, went all the way up to the one branch that stays open in the evening, it opens till 9, and I lowered my credit limit down from 1,000 to 500. So I didn't want them asking questions of why is your credit limit so low now and what do you want to do and all of this. So he asked me a quick one, he was like, why do you want to do this? And I was like, fiscal responsibility, and he just laughed at me. So my credit limit should be going down to 500, which is still quite a lot. It's still £1,000 to have to be put on hold, but it's more manageable in that sense. I should get an SMS, maybe a WhatsApp. He took my WhatsApp number and I was like, I don't like this, but I'll block him if I find him a bit weird. But the guy who helped me should be letting me know in a few days. I tried to get a timeline and he was like, no. And then he was like, maybe a few days. Because essentially I fill in all the paperwork in branch and then they have to email head office to do anything that requires changes to account. So like it's all centralized and then out. And so it's very slow in its processing, but there we go. Meanwhile, I am waiting for my salary. I did actually get paid my bonus off cycle. So I thought it would come in with my September salary and it actually came in a few days ago. But I haven't sent it home yet because obviously I'm going to need extra money in my account for this whole hold. And that's where things get a little bit difficult because I thought I was going to send it home and put it towards certain things and now I've just got to hold off. I will get the money back once the hold is finished, but that requires me processing things, me like setting up my debit, me getting my no objection certificate, all the things that I described to you in the last one. My other bank is now set up and ready to go. They've enabled debits and all of that. I'm not going to get a credit card with them, so I don't have to worry about doing this again. But Soha Bank, which is the bank I'm currently fighting with, is, sorry, I just got a message that distracted me. But they have said no one can close accounts for a couple of weeks. I'd have to wait to get paid anyway, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other doesn't really make a difference to me. Some good news on the money front though, and in an excellent case of timing. I had a letter back home from HMRC saying, hey, you sent us some money and we don't know why and you don't owe us money and we haven't asked you for money, so why do we have your money? Please contact us. Now this is a little bit funny in a way that, oh God, I did that. Yeah, that's something I did. If you remember the big to-do about me paying off my national insurance and then I killed myself paying it off in like a couple of months because I owed them quite a lot of money to be able to fill all my national insurance record gaps. And then they extended the deadline by 2 years, so I didn't need to do any of that. Turns out I made my life harder by accidentally sending them an extra year's payment. So they had 3, because I was sending money just as I had it and wherever I thought I could do without it, I had sent them 3 payments that totaled up to 832, which must have been 1 total year. So when I was sending it, I must have either not kept track of it properly or counted 1 year twice in terms of what I owe. And so I sent them £832 that I didn't need to send them. So the good news there is that they are sending it me back, which is nice. So I'm not entirely sure how long that's going to take. They estimated 4 weeks, but if that's the case, then the month where I'm not sending money home from Oman because it's being held by my bank, I may get a little cash injection into my home account due to this refund. So that's all worked out quite nicely, assuming the timing matches up. It probably won't exactly, but what I'll do is I'll be pretty ruthless with my budget for my home stuff next month, and then as money comes in during my check-in, what have you, I'll refill some of my categories, because right now I'm just going to cut it down to bare bones wherever I can. But you will see that next month. So for now, let me just get my spreadsheet up and I'll talk to you about what's been going on. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the changes that have happened here. I've got some things in red just to remind me to talk about them. The amount that this is now saying I've sent home is incorrect because I did get the additional income, which I wasn't anticipating I would. So whatever is left of that when we go on to the next month, I will roll it over as additional income then, and we will keep it in account for my plans with the bank. So let's take a look right here at the fixed bills. Not much has changed here. If you remember, I paid my home internet bill slightly early last month, which is why this says 0. My electricity is holding up well, so I haven't had to add anything extra onto that. My cleaner is the same price because of the purchase I made for a friend of mine. He paid me back in cash. I actually have her money in cash, which is why this says 20. And I didn't add anything to my phone and haven't needed to. I'll do it again in a couple of months. If we go down now to my variable, so my groceries are pretty depleted at the moment. As you can see, I've barely got anything left, but that's absolutely fine. It is the 2nd of September as I am recording this. I will get paid in about, I want to say 10 days, and I've got enough food to last me. I did a couple of big shops right near the beginning of my paycheck period because I was at my store, Lulu's, more often. And so I just went in and got the things I needed. So I spent more than I usually do, but I'm well set up. I don't foresee the need to get more groceries before my money runs out. So I'll be fine there. Transport, I spent $11.60, which is about average, which is a little bit surprising actually, because I did do a couple more trips while I was trying to sort out the bank things and stuff like that, but we're on track with it, so I'm not feeling too bad. School, we did spend a little bit more on, as anticipated, because I was setting up the classroom for the year, so we're on $24.20 for that. And beauty and health, we are currently within limits. We're doing fine. Misc Home, I feel like, is a bit of a cheat this month because I did actually end up going to IKEA, and so I rolled a lot of stuff into that charge, whereas that really would have counted as home in my regular budget, but I hadn't planned on doing that, so I hadn't put some extra money in there. My spending is actually pretty low this month. I haven't been out to the mall or anything like that, but again, my groceries have been slightly higher to compensate because I've been getting more things from there, but not doing too badly. However, my clothing, I did go over, and I went over pretty early in the month. I suppose if I wanted to even these out, I could actually put 7 from my spending into clothing, which if I don't end up using it for this month, I may do just to level it off. I had initially reduced the amount I put into my clothing allowance this month from 25 down to 10 to account for the bank charges that were coming up. However, I did forget I needed a new pair of school shoes. I tend to have foot pain and knee pain because all the floors here are tiled, obviously, because of the heat. And it's just a little bit hard on me, so I have to have good soles for my shoes. So I tend to get Skechers. They're the teacher's friend. So I got a new pair. I did get them on sale. They were 17 Rial instead of the usual, whatever they are, 33, I think. But it was more than I had budgeted for. And then we have our friend IKEA. Basically, the bank I went to was quite close to the IKEA. I've been meaning to go for a while. I've been wanting to replace my bed set and just get a few other things. And so I ended up going, and I ended up spending 88 Rial, which is a fair old amount. It's 160, 170, I do believe. However, I do have a home tech fund in my UK account that's supposed to be for purchases like that, but I just hadn't planned on using it this month, and then I had the opportunity. So what I'm actually going to do for this, rather than trying to find the money from my Oman account, I have transferred the amount I spent out of my home tech sinking fund into my receiving account in the UK. So I'll send slightly less home, but it will be balanced out again by the money that's already waiting there. So at the end of the day, I will have the same amount that I should have in my home account, but it would have been allocated slightly differently. And that will mean that the money, eventually, once I get all my numbers in a row, the money will have come out of my sinking fund. And then we have bank charges. Now, I did go and lower my credit limit, but because I haven't gone to cancel the account yet, because I'm still waiting for that to go through, I haven't been charged this. I did hear from a person who went and was told in branch that HSBC customers are having that charge waived, even though I argued with their phone line about it, but inconsistent information does seem to be their specialty. So we'll see if I get charged this. It probably won't be in this pay period now, because when I planned for this, I didn't realize there was such a long waiting period. So I will just roll this cost over to the next month when it comes time to set up my budget. So according to this, I am 13 Rial overspent. However, because it's still accounting for the IKEA and the clothing, you can't really trust that, because I've just done a little bit of moving around with the funds. So technically I am not over, and as long as I can keep that straight in my head, I'm doing okay. So now over to the UK. This is how much I actually sent home, despite the fact that the other part of my budget thinks I didn't. And then I ended up getting 739 from YouTube. And I already discussed the extra spending and things that I did in my setup video. Now, the two changes you can see in red here, red doesn't mean bad, it just means talk about it. When I looked at the numbers, I had about 400 more from the YouTube payment, or rather, I didn't get an extra 400, I hadn't allocated 400, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to, because I didn't know what was going on with needing any extra money or what have you. But in the end, I decided just to put it into my future fund. I can always take it out if I have to, but I'd rather it was in there growing. So that got changed from 500 to 900. Going down to the bottom here, as I explained in my setup, I didn't put any money in these sinking funds. However, if you look at the balance of the home tech fund, it is now down to 167 to reflect the spending that I did in IKEA. And that money is now waiting up in my receiving account to balance out when my salary comes through. It'll probably be a bit of an interesting time trying to plan out next month, but that will be for my next video. All right then, and that's everything from me today. Obviously, things still quite up in the air, so my next video should be kind of interesting in terms of what answers I have and how much money I've got, and if my bank even allow me to close it with the lower credit limit, which is something I've been thinking about, because technically, if I lower my credit limit, they should say, okay, 100 or 120% of this limit, but who knows, they could turn around and be like, no, we gave you 1,000 initially. It wouldn't be fair, but I wouldn't have much recourse. So I just tend to think of all the places things can go wrong when it comes to official stuff like this. And I'm staying prepared. So thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.